What's up, everybody? UFL kickoff is officially commenced, and our first game has concluded. We're gonna kick it off with a little bit of nightcap for us, just a recap of the action that we saw. It was an awesome game. Really, really good. Ended up being 15-13, Stallions victory. Kings held in there the whole time, though. I really, really, really thought they were going to pull it out at the end there. So time of possession, not bad. 38-21 was kind of a Stallion heavy game, but ultimately not bad by any means. Total plays, about 65 plays by the Stallions, 44 by the Kings, though the Kings' plays seem to almost be more effective than the Stallions. But the Stallions did almost have more consistent drives, which is ultimately an awesome thing to watch, especially during week one. So that was very good to see. Passing, wonderful game for passing. We would like to see the running game pick up a little bit in the future, but ultimately the passes are more exciting to see when they are completed. So we had about almost more effective passing game for the Kings. However, it did not ultimately pay off in the end. But if we look back, we did have almost the catch of the year this opening night, so it was awesome to see. Let's see if we can get a quick look at that. Not very clear. Boom. Look at that. Mossed him. That's how you do it right here. Right over the top. Awesome to watch. The game was full of excitement. The whole time, actually, it was quite interesting to see how look at this comment. The kicker needs to be cut ASAP. Yeah, I would say if you are the Stallions, I would be looking for a new kicker. However, first game of the year could just be the jitters. But Snoop really had a day-to-day. Just in the first half, 45 yards, a touchdown, and one receptions. Truly making a name for himself in the league, taking the opportunity he's got. But then the halftime show, definitely long halftime show, but ultimately it was some fan service. So Russell did do a good job, and I think everybody enjoyed it. And across what I've seen on social media, it was very well received. Those that were in the stands seemed to like it as well. And that's one thing that I feel like the UFL really lacked in the past was something in that fan experience while you're at the games and really making it, a good time for those that are buying the tickets and showing up and watching. But ultimately, there were a lot of questions today, specifically on Matt Corral. But he seemed to have answered them, and ultimately, they looked good. Only 208 yards passing, 21 completions, but truly an effective passing game for both teams, actually. About 6.9 yards per attempt for the Stallions, 8.1 for the Kings. It did have more explosives on the King side, and then both had a passing touchdown. So, really well done on both sides by the quarterbacks, and ultimately, I think we may have seen some of the better quarterback play of the league. When we go to rushing now, this is where the questions start to arise. So the Stallions did have 111 yards, but the questions did arise there because it was not very consistent at times. But then overall, a very good rushing game. The Kings, though, really need some work. I don't know if that's an offensive line issue, if it's a back issue, but there needs to be a change there if they're going to be competitive this year. Didn't try to run the ball as much, but also did not have as many plays as the Stallions, so it can be understood. 3.2 yards to 2.9. Not the best ratio there, but ultimately a touchdown for the Stallions did help them pull away in this one. Then the defense, tackles for loss, really the Kings, there are a lot of questions. You heard me earlier. What are the Kings going to do? Do they have the worst defense in the league? No, they don't. They actually have a very good defense. And if anything, they really kept the Kings in this game. So that was great to see. Then on the turnovers, this is a big problem for the Kings. I don't know if this is just, we're chasing it, always trying to score, so we're trying to get back in the game, so we're throwing more balls that could be risky, but ultimately those interceptions cost us. Then the fumble, if you take that fumble out, that's a touchdown. Kings win. So these turnovers are really costing them the game. So kind of unfortunate for the Kings to take home the first loss in their home opener, but ultimately, what can you do? But what did the people think? 63% were on the Stallions. 63% of the people were correct, though the Kings very well could have won that. So there are questions, certainly, on both teams. For the Stallions, the kickers, absolutely. But otherwise, a very good game, all in all. When we look at some more of this specifics on the players, we had Bean really doing well in his rushing game, so that was impressive. McFarland, we would have liked to see more of. However, you get what you get. Then when we get into receiving, Mickens making a name for himself. Really impressive job out there on the field tonight. And then Ross, very good job as well. Deion Kane came up at the biggest moment, so that was good to see him out there. Where's Mr. Lucky here? Then defense, very good. We had a bunch of tackles. Tizino here, I believe, is the one that came up with a couple tackles. Yeah. Overall, great showing by both teams. So really something to be proud of. And if we look back at kind of like the preview of the season, let's see exactly what they said for the Stallions. So it really was championship standard, 1 year removed from that historic three-peat of the championships. And then A.J. McCarron leading the team. So when you were thinking about it, it really would be a very competitive team. And ultimately, it still was. The offensive coordinator, Tyler Siskey, they were showing him a lot on the coverage tonight. Really well done, I would say, in the first coaching outing for A.J. McCarron. Though there are questions for the team, I do wonder how he will address those for week 2. But now let's go take a look at the Louisville Kings. So Chris Redman, a lot of offensive talent, but also their offense and their inconsistencies may have cost them the game. Their defense certainly kept them in the game, but their offense, it was certainly a question. But where I do have hope for this team is that their defense could keep them in games, and their offense is explosive enough to get them in the lead and keep them in the lead as the game goes on. Now, that's where next week we'll have to see if they could pull out a win, because if they string along a couple losses, it could be very tough for them this year. But ultimately, we'll see how everything goes. Then, if we look back at our preview, we'll see exactly how many storylines ended up proving true. So, when we look at our new faces, new sidelines, of course, both coaches did a very good job. Offensive firepower, absolutely. The passing game for both teams was very well done, and they really yielded a lot of results. X Factor, Jason Bean, very much was an X Factor in this game. That last interception, you hate to see it, you really do. But ultimately, he was a massive part of keeping Louisville in the game. When they had the ball, they want to use his mobility. He was absolutely running, and he was doing well at it. And most of the time, it was at, let's say, not the most crucial times of the game, but it did help them out overall. Birmingham, Matt Corral, really well done today. There were a lot of questions. He was the backup 2 years in a row, but he ended up pulling it out today and really proving that he deserved that starting job. So he was looking good throughout the whole game. The defensive edge, yeah, both defenses really did well. I would say I would give them kind of both of an even grade on their performance today. That home field advantage, I want to say that played into it and had an impact. I think it did. But ultimately, I feel like as the team started to lose, the crowd definitely quieted. And we hate to see that, but it is expected. Then we've got our impact players. Jason Bean really did impact the game. Matt Corral, Tate Crowder, not as much, but our quarterbacks really did well, and the prediction did end up turning true. The Birmingham Stallions did end up taking it home today. Now, let's transition over and take a look at our games coming up for the rest of the week. So big one for us is going to be tomorrow, the starter. That's going to be the DC Defenders visiting the the St. Louis Battlehawks. Um, Thankfully, for the home team, they should have a much stronger home field advantage than what Louisville had tonight. But we'll see how much they end up having. I expect a little bit more than 30,000, potentially into the 40,000 range. Then on our Saturday seconds, we're going to have the Gamblers visiting the Dallas Renegades. Should be a good game. We'll have to see how the defense matches up, specifically when it comes to takeaways, because I think with the questions on the Gamblers' offense, Dallas will probably get a few takeaways and maybe change the tide of the game. And then our Sunday showdown, our final game of the week, we will have the Aviators visiting the Storm, and ultimately, I think that one may be the most fairly matched game of the week. With that DC game, it's going to be the best rivalry and the biggest rivalry of the season. So probably or potentially could be the best game of the season. But ultimately, tonight's really stacked up well. It was a very even match. There was fair competition on both sides, and not a lot of flags, which I found very interesting. Still a few, but ultimately a well played match on both sides. So, looking at that, I would say everybody make sure you're tuning in tomorrow at noon Eastern, of course. But on the other hand, we do have good games for the rest of the weekend. So, ultimately, a great time to be a UFL fan and plenty to watch. So, now that we have looked at those, I did want to take one look at some bad beats for today. So, big thing here, if you took the over, tough. Very tough. I believe the line was about 42. So that was not a winning bet, a winning choice. Then if you took the Kings with their line, unfortunately, I do not believe you would have made it as well. So not the best, but ultimately we will probably see more and probably some player props come out for next week. So that'll be something we want to keep watching, and we'll be on that as well. But we will see exactly how things go. Looking at kind of how things all shook out. We got some good footage, of course. Now this is going to be huge for the league. This is really what the people love to see in this interview that they did with AJ McCarron. They did about 3 throughout the game, and honestly, really well done by him tonight. I gotta say, he deserves his props. The coaches, a lot of respect between them. Redmond did a very good job tonight. I really enjoyed watching the game. It was very competitive, and honestly, it was a good football game. It was a very good football game. Look at some more here. Yep. Stallions really put on a good show tonight. Justin Ross, great pass, great catch. Look at that. Field goal. This is questions. Questions. What is Birmingham going to do about this? I imagine they're going to look for a new kicker, but ultimately can't be missing 3 field goals in a single game. But otherwise, really good game. Great footage, great plays. Everything was really well done. Oh, and repolls at the St. John's game. Watching the UFL. Oh, too bad the Johnnies lost. Tough. Very tough. But little quarterback comparison. This was at the half. Really well matched. Jason Bean, I think, will do very well in the league. Matt Corral as well. Really doing well so far. Then we go, oh yeah, here's the fumble. Yep, terrible for the Kings, terrible. What do we got here? Oh, halftime performance, great time. Oh yeah, this is us right now. Me win spring football, heck yeah. Really good game though. Coach Redmond did very well in his inaugural head coaching opportunity as well. Oh, here we go, another miss. Yeah. Questions. That's all you got right there. Oh my gosh. The Louisville Kings killing them. Killing them. But back to it. If we look back at the storyline of the Stallions being the UFL champions this year, they definitely made a step toward that direction. Still yet to be seen how the rest of the teams do, but I will say I think the 1,200 odds for the Kings will probably go up, and it'll probably be closer to the 500, 600 range after their showing tonight. But ultimately something we'll want to see as that changes throughout the year. But if we look back at kind of what we have ahead for both of these teams, for the Stallions next week, they'll be going against the Gamblers. We'll see how this turns out, but I feel like that one at this time, before seeing the Gamblers play, probably going to turn out well for the Stallions. For week 3, then they'll have the Battlehawks, which I think probably going to be a fair match, but ultimately I think the Stallions probably going to pull ahead on that one. Then week 4, we're going to see them take on the Storm. So we'll see what happens here. This one could be, hopefully, for their sake, a win, but that one remains to be seen. Against the Defenders, that's where I think things start to get a little more questionable for them. Then if we look at the Kings, they'll be against the Storm next week. Probably going to be a very even match. We'll see exactly how they turn out, but I think the Kings did well. So regardless, whoever wins this first game, they'll have their chance for revenge the next week, which is interesting how they'll be playing back-to-back weeks like that. But ultimately, scheduling is what it is. And then we'll see the Kings take on the Gamblers. Probably a fair match for the Gamblers. Then week 5, they'll wrap up with a game against the Renegades. And that one I really am excited to see because the defense of the Kings is a lot better than others were thinking. And we're expecting the Renegades to have a very good defense. And the offense on the Kings really seemed dangerous. So I'd be interested to see what the score ends up being because I imagine it'd be a low-scoring game. But I do feel the Kings might come out on top given their offense. So that's what our nightcap, and I appreciate you joining us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the game. For those that may be wondering what our next stream is, that's going to be later on this weekend when we're another nightcap after the next night game, recapping kind of the weekend, and then previewing what we have ahead. Ultimately, great day of football, and I think there's a lot to look forward to with the season. So thank you for joining us. I look forward to talking to you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and a great time this weekend.